Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. We are of course going to be talking about the big snowballing story regarding Jack Grealish and a possible move to Manchester City, as there's been big developments going on there. But before we go any further, I would like to remind you to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things are always and forever be greatly appreciated. But for now, let's get back to talking about this big Jack Grealish story, which is gathering more and more momentum by the day, as today, well, if reports are to be believed, then City have tabled a £100 million bid for the English midfielder. Been a summer of a lot of talk and reported interest in some of football's biggest names if you're a Manchester City fan and you're associated with the club, but it seems that City are finally waking up in this transfer window and are about to lay some, well, allegedly they have laid some serious money on the table. We've heard all summer that City have been looking to make big waves in this transfer window, and two names in particular kept cropping up whenever talk about Manchester City came about in this transfer window. They were of course the likes of Harry Kane and Jack Grealish, and whilst Kane's name has cooled off a little bit in recent weeks, the Jack Grealish saga has certainly picked up pace in recent days. The overall feeling is that City feel extremely confident that a deal can be struck and that the deal can be moved forward in a swift enough fashion that the English midfielder can join up with his would-be new teammate a week or so before the new season is set to begin. And like I say, today's reports coming out have seemingly set those wheels in motion, as today it is being said that City have tabled Aston Villa a £100 million bid for Jack Grealish. I'll repeat that. City have tabled a £100 million bid for Jack Grealish. This is major. You don't need me to tell you that, but I'm going to say it anyway. This is major. This is huge. This is not just in terms of story, but in terms of the bid itself. It'll be interesting to see Villa's reaction from here to the bid itself. It'll be interesting to see the structure of the deal that is being set up by City. £100 million, the biggest transfer in the entirety of the history of the Premier League. It's something that we all knew was going to be coming at some point. We all knew that this story in particular had a bid somewhere in the pipeline. We all kind of braced ourselves for something like this to happen, and now the ball is firmly in the court of both Aston Villa and Jack Grealish. We know that Villa would be open to selling Grealish if a high enough bid had come in for the English midfielder. We know that Grealish's head could be turned by active interest from a big enough club, and of course all those things have been ticked, all those boxes have been ticked, so to speak, all the criteria has been met. We now wait and see what the reaction from Aston Villa is. Because we know it's not all going to be one way. We know that Villa aren't going to go quietly. We all know that Villa aren't going to let Grealish go without putting up a fight. They're not going to let their prize jewel, their crowning possession, go without putting up a fight. And whilst his current contract runs out until 2025, so technically, if this was like a game of cards, Villa do hold that card, which is a very big and important card to hold. It is being said that Villa are looking to try and fend off Manchester City's interest further by offering Grealish another new contract. A very luxurious top deal contract is said to be in the making by Villa. But it does seem that they are facing a bit of a losing battle in this one, it's got to be said. We know how far Grealish has come in recent years. We constantly seen him shine for Villa at multiple levels, from when he first burst onto the scene as a teenager to Villa's days in the Championship, and then of course being back in the Premier League. We've seen how Grealish has grown and evolved throughout his career so far. We know how versatile he is across that midfield. We know that he's a very creative player, a decent player from set pieces, very good technically on the ball, draws a lot of fouls from opposition players, and can obviously chip in with a few goals here and there. It'll be interesting to see if Grealish could fit into a Guardiola system. He is a free spirit after all. He does love to be given more of a free role across the pitch. But Guardiola's not going to allow him as much of a free role at Manchester City as he would get with Villa, for example. He will have certain roles and certain jobs for certain games that he'll want Grealish to obviously carry out. He will be looking for certain aspects of Grealish's game to be risen, to elevate. And of course, Grealish himself will have to do that and add more layers to his game than what he would if he was staying at Villa. And it will be interesting to see, like I say, if Grealish can thrive and survive and get even better under Guardiola's guidance, under Guardiola's tutelage. I'm not saying you won't see the Jack Grealish that we've become accustomed to seeing at Villa, at City. I'm just saying that it'll be interesting to see how he is implemented in a Guardiola system, into that Guardiola machine, and how he is kind of moulded into that image. I'm not saying you won't see great goals that we've become accustomed to seeing, or great assists that we've become accustomed to seeing with Villa. I'm just saying he might just be moulded a little differently if or when this deal to Manchester City comes to fruition. Should this bid be accepted, or should a deal eventually be struck between these two sides for the English midfielder? Personally, for me, whilst that part of the deal that I talked about in Grealish having to adapt his game a little bit does represent a little bit of a gamble, I don't see this really being much of a gamble elsewhere, in all honesty. I think Guardiola and City would have obviously done their homework on him and would have found and seen maybe ways in which they can try and work on Grealish's game to try and adapt him into more of suiting their kind of image. But as far as Premier League experience goes, he of course has plenty. There are a few England teammates in that City camp that obviously will help Grealish settle down, the likes of Raheem Sterling, Kyle Walker, Phil Foden. I'm sure that they will help obviously Grealish bed into that City squad very quickly. And of course, he will freshen up City's already brilliant and attacking midfield. Like, he will freshen that up completely. Add another layer to the City squad. Add another player who's different and is capable of doing multiple different variations of things across that midfield, and can obviously produce moments of individual brilliance that will not only wow the Manchester City faithful and the Manchester City crowd, but will also help Pep Guardiola and his staff at Manchester City as well. And from there, all I can say is that Guardiola's squad could possibly go from strength to strength if this deal does in fact come off, which, like I keep saying and alluding to, is seemingly more likely to happen. Do I believe that this should have been the priority for City in this transfer window? No. I honestly think that City should have probably mainly focused on the striker situation that they currently have. I don't personally think Gabriel Jesus is strong enough to carry the City attack pretty much on his own this season, and I don't think that City can rely on another season of false number 9s leading the line either, and it being enough for City to retain their Premier League title. But of course, the transfer window isn't closed yet. Following this deal, if City wrap it up pretty quickly, the Harry Kane saga could reignite itself somewhere down the line at any moment. But City did need to make a huge signing in this transfer window, and it seems like Grealish is the #1 target for that, or the easier of the targets to make that sort of marquee signing happen. It will be interesting to see where this deal goes from here. Like I say, I fully expect that whether it's this bid or another bid to happen somewhere down the line, that Grealish does become a City player by the end of this transfer window. I think Villa eventually cave in and Grealish eventually does sign for City, and then City can go on and look ahead to making another big signing before the window closes, or maybe even another couple of big signings before the City closes. Who knows? But that's just my opinion. As far as the rest of the transfer window goes now, I think this is obviously a massive statement maker. £100 million bid has been placed on the table by Manchester City. It's enough to make Villa step up and look at it themselves rather than the rest of the Premier League, because I'm sure that that is going to wake everybody up now. Know that City have finally woken up in this transfer window, and they mean very, very, very big business, because I'm sure that's just how that entire domino effect is going to be working out and playing out over the next few days, few weeks, and obviously on the countdown to the end and the closing of this particular transfer window. So it'll be interesting to see how Villa respond from here. It'll be interesting to see how other teams respond here in the sort of transfer window domino effect that will possibly come out from this news. But what we do know is that City have tabled a £100 million bid for Jack Grealish, possibly going to be the biggest transfer in Premier League history if it all comes off well and good. But we'll have to wait and see where this news story takes us from here. But of course, as I always say, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of the reports coming out that Manchester City have tabled a £100 million bid for Jack Grealish? What do you make of this story? Do you think Jack Grealish will actually become a Manchester City player by the end of this transfer window? Or do you think that Villa will dig their heels in and remain firm on their player and maybe even manage to keep Grealish for at least another season? I'd love to know your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, on this subject down below in the comment section, because I'm sure they'll all make for interesting reading. Otherwise, hit that like button on the way if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things are always and forever greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch, this has been another Fletch Talks video, and I will see and speak with you all again soon in another video.